think of something. He's lost a leg, but he doesn't need it. Okay. So this is just really simple. If we look at your arms and your legs, we've got a big ball joint at the hip and a big ball joint at the shoulder, which allows us to do a lot of movement, because it's a ball and socket joint, so it's got every plane of movement available in it. Same as the shoulder's even more mobile because your hips got a much deeper socket. Your shoulder's got not much of a socket at all, which is why it can be dislocated easily. Okay, so then you've got the elbow and the knee, which are both hinge joints. So what's a hinge joint? It allows one plane of movement. So it can flex, extend. It does some little glides. Basically, if we're talking about planes of movement, that's what the knee does. That's what the elbow does. Then we've got the forearm and the lower leg, where we've got two bones again. So in the forearm, they're much more mobile than in the leg, so they allow us to do a lot of rotation through here. And then you can see, again, we've got lots of bones in the wrist, so a lot more joints. And remember, wherever there's more joints, there's more possibilities for movement. And that's the same in the foot. One of the most interesting things, finally, my partner, I took him to the museum. He's a very visual person. I don't know if they have it in the museum in Victoria. Do they still have skeletons in the museum in Victoria? Yeah? 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 Because and probably in Perth, and it's the old part of the museum, so they're still all in glass cases, and there's no writing everywhere telling you what you should be seeing, and it's just fascinating, if you've never done it, to go along and see how mammals all have basically the same structure. They all have the toes and the midfoot and the heel and the bones. Exactly the same, the skeleton, the ribs, the pelvis, the head. So what's my point here? Okay, so they're the main joints we've got here, and you're finding a way to bring, you've been finding a way to bring that to there. So that's, and hopefully to there. Some of you are still there, but most of you are getting that the knee can bend a bit more. But we're keeping the arm long as we're doing all these movements. So we're not doing that. So where's most of the movement in the leg happening? In the hip. Now, we've pretty much taken the knee out of the equation by holding this. But don't forget, some of you have forgotten that you've still got an ankle that has, so a lot of you are still sort of dropping the foot as if it's this thing that just sort of hangs on the bottom of your leg. So just to be clear that it makes a difference what you do in the ankle goes through. So we've got that. We're keeping a long arm here. So we've taken the elbow out of the equation again, but in a different configuration. So rather than it being bent, we've got it long. So, and we've taken most of the wrist and the hand out of the equation too. So what have you got left in your upper limb? Shoulder, shoulder blade, collarbone, Yeah. So we've taken out lots of joints, but look how many there are in here. Not only have you got all the joints between the vertebra, but you've got 3 little joints everywhere that the ribs join on each side. 3. So you've got only small movements, but so can you? What we're after, can you see, is that all of this can begin to wake up. Where are the possibilities in the middle? By constraining these 2 ends, that I have to maybe find some of the different shapes that go in here. So you can see if I put him on his back, and we'll put his hip back in his socket, and we're holding him here, he can get there effortlessly. Why can he get there effortlessly? Absolutely. Thanks,
so
Jen.
all that extra work and contraction by the muscles and whatever else. And there might be things.
And of course, we've all got different structure. You know, we've all got, some of us are naturally much more mobile in our tissue. Some of us genetically are stiffer in our tissue. There's huge variations. But you can see, look how far, even with him, look at that movement coming through there to let his foot come down. But he can only go that far because nothing's happening here. So he's taken up as much as he can through there, but nothing is changing through here. So one of the things, when you're hitting that part where you go, you've got to find somewhere else. You've got to evoke, you've got to look for, is there something else that I can include in my image here? As well as, you know, you can soften your breath, soften your intention, all of those. But all of these movements are giving you the opportunity to find how many possibilities there are through here to move ourselves. Okay, so back to your mats. Let's continue. Yeah, I just want to keep his hip located.